And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you as always by our good friends at the Holy Grail. And this weekend is a special opportunity. Before the game, after the game, if you're not tailgating, if you're visiting somebody else's tailgate, get over to the banks, stop by the Holy Grail, have a beverage before the game, and then maybe go back and celebrate a Bearcat victory afterwards. I mean, I think that sounds like a perfect plan. So while you're down there at the banks this weekend, watching the Bearcats and the battle for the victory bell, while the Bearcats claim their 16th straight, you can stop by the Holy Grail and support Bearcat Journal's longtime sponsor. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Hello.
Hi, Dave. Am I distracting you?
No, I'm reading something that Aaron told me to read. So
I didn't know if you were like playing Candy Crush or.
No, I don't know what that is.
Jeffrey, I am feeling a little bit better today. I'm not all the way back to 100%. For some reason, Dave, whenever I get sick, I struggle to get rid of the cough. Like I can't.
I mean, I cannot imagine why.
I can't pinpoint why.
I mean,
but most of the other stuff is gone. The cough lingers for a little while.
Yeah, I think anyone that's hung out with you for more than 10 minutes might be able to help you out with an answer. But
I mean, I've been trying to figure it out, but I can't quite pinpoint it. So, but yeah, I do feel better. It took some rest. It took a little rest for a couple days, but coming through on the other side. So that's where we're at there. How's your week been?
It's been busy. Been working away from the computer the last 2 days, getting ready for a big event downtown in a couple weeks. It's called the Kroger Wellness Festival. So, if people are looking for some fun stuff to do, there's going to be some pretty big celebrities stopping by. Carrie Underwood's going to be there. If you're into Top Chef, Brian Malarkey's going to be there. So getting some VIP stuff together the last couple days. So I have not been by a computer. I'm very tired, and I still have to do like actual work after we get off this podcast.
Sounds like bad planning by you.
There's no other time to do it.
Only so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get this thing going then. First off, I will just say you are an agent of chaos.
You're welcome.
There's nothing to the decals, people. I promise. It's the same as always. It's just the shot that Kelsey used didn't include the decals, and then Dave likes to get people worked up by pointing out that they didn't show the decals.
I think it says more about you if you get worked up over it than it does me.
People. First off, people are immediately going to be in their feelings on that video.
Why? Because they lost a game in 2009 wearing white helmets. How many games have they won since then wearing white helmets?
I think they're like 9-2 or something along those lines. They're very successful in the white helmets,
because it doesn't matter. That's why.
Right.
And they're awesome. So
I love them.
Whatever.
I put the little stormtrooper GIF
up
today.
First time they've ever worn this uniform combination. I don't know if
the black face mask.
Right? Did people notice it had a black face mask? So does that change the bad luck with the white helmet from 14 years ago or however long that was, 13 years ago? Like, because now they have black face masks. Is that different? Can people chill out now?
Maybe. But people were already in their feelings immediately upon seeing that video with the white helmets. And then you just fanning the flames of like, but we had some fun with this.
I'll just say people need to like get a hobby. Apparently.
Yeah, that was my tweet.
Spend some time with their loved ones.
And they're already no heat decal helmets though. Oh. people love uniforms. They really like that. That's a whole
Oh, I do
subset.
too. I mean,
I
they're
don't
awesome,
understand. I don't get it.
but I don't like. I mean, I just like them for the visual of it, and what are they going to wear? Okay, that's what they're going to wear. Moving on. That's kind of how I look at it.
I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about it. Like your tag team partner on the Bearcat brunch was like, "We're in the trust tree. You can tell me," and I was like, "There's a CPAW."
Yes, because I'm going to be the one breaking news on if the helmet's got something different on it.
Sam, you can find recruiting updates at bearcatjournal.com. We'll talk a little bit about
might be Sam's first.
I know. I'm just
So,
letting you know. Bearcatjournal.com is where you go for recruiting updates.
I think people can finally hear all of this on iTunes again now.
We're back, and that was a hell of a frustrating, like, iTunes didn't answer for 5 days. Like, just didn't. They're like, we should get to your problem in 24 hours. And like 5 days, I sent them multiple, like, hey, can we fix this? And finally, they were like, oh yeah, you just have to contact SoundCloud.
Just wait until the new iOS 16 drops and everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
Apple sucks. But that's apparently, according to our numbers, that is where most of you consume this content. So it's good to be back on iTunes. Okay, I do want to get to this too. Thank you, Hunter. Why are we playing in Paul Brown Stadium and not Nippert Stadium? Okay, I think Luke's comments, like having some fun yesterday, got people a little off track on like the reality of this whole deal. So I can't remember what exactly was the first year.
2017 was the first year of this new.
Yeah, and that was a Miami home game. Was that first, like, that's how it started. So it's a 13-year deal starting with the Miami home game, which means Miami has an extra. So, 12 years it's 6-6. Miami has an extra, so it's a 7-6 Miami advantage in home games. So they put the 3 Paul Brown Stadium games in there because obviously UC did not want to go to Miami every year. They wanted more opportunities to play here instead of up there. The 3 games that were put at Paul Brown Stadium, 2 of them were in years that it would have been a Miami home game. One of them in a year where it would have been a Cincinnati home game. So that's why there's 2 home games at Paycor that are Miami. One, the next one, which I think is 2026, that is it's considered a home game for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like the explanation for it is very simple. Like they just went down the list and said, okay, these are, we're taking 2 games away from Miami, 1 game away from Nippert. We're putting those games in Paycor. Miami is going to be the home game or the home team for the games that were supposed to be at their place. Cincinnati will be the home team for the game that's supposed to be at Nippert. And it's straight down the middle. Like Miami being petty for not letting UC host recruits. Yeah, but I mean, if I'm UC, obviously I'm a little annoyed, perturbed, bothered by it. But I mean, that's their prerogative as the home team. Like, do you want your opponent to be, walking around, showing their recruiting superiority to you at their home game? Probably not. Right? Like, how? Yeah. If you're a Miami recruit over on Miami's sidelines, and you're looking over at UC, and they've got 3 times the number of recruits, and they're all better than you. Like, that's not going to leave a favorable impression of Miami for these kids as they're making their decision on where they want to go.
No, it's a Miami home game. Why would they treat it any differently than if it was actually in Oxford? They're not going to
Right.
let UC bring a bunch of recruits there, even though it's 45 minutes away.
Right. And I mean, of course, UC is going to be like, well, that's stupid. And Miami's
Well,
going to be like,
I would ask, just
sure.
like they did, but I'm pretty sure they knew the answer before they asked the question.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I think it would be. I do think, assuming Coach Fickle is still here in 2026, I would allow them to host recruits in 2026.
Just as a middle finger.
Just say, sure, bring as many kids as you want.
Have them get a good look at the Bearcats.
Yeah, I mean, like, have them come in. No problem to us. No big deal.
Right.
I would.
I think I would probably do the same.
I would absolutely do it.
I think I would probably do the same.
Forces the hand to where they can't sit starters at that point, right?
Well, Chuck Martin openly spoke about that.
Them not sitting starters cost them their starting quarterback for maybe the entire season. So I don't necessarily blame him.
All right.
I mean, if you go back, Dave, and watch Chuck Martin's press conference,
I did.
He basically said Cincinnati was dominant last year. We were nowhere close to them, and we didn't see any need to put our season in danger playing a team that was going to kick our ass no matter what happened. You are a big Chuck Martin guy.
I like Chuck because he's about as honest as a college coach can be. And I'm sure there's some things he'd like to say that he knows he can't, but he comes up to that line. And I appreciate that because I just, whether you agree or disagree, I just want to know what you're thinking. And,
right.
Far too many coaches just give you the coach speak. And I'm not interested in that. Like, why would I sit there and listen to you talk for 20 minutes or however and not really answer any actual questions or not even get offered any actual questions because your media knows that you're not going to answer them. So they're not going to, I guess you still have a duty to ask the question, but it's like, I get one question or two questions depending on who the coach is and how big the program is. Am I going to use it on something that I know he's not going to really answer? Am I going to use it on something that he actually might answer? So, that makes it tough for the media. But no, Chuck was like, I think he was kind of talking about the UK game a little bit and how, like, sometimes in these situations you go in thinking like,
Well, they asked him specifically, like he was talking about at one point UC's team last year,
right? And
specifically,
yeah, just saying like they were bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic. Like we didn't really have a chance to win, and you don't ever hear coach say that,
right?
So, and he was right, and I appreciate it. And, I think they probably feel like they have a better shot this year. I don't know what the quarterback situation, if that changes things a little bit. But, I mean, we'll get into it. They played Kentucky fairly well, especially in the first half. Considering the losses UC had, I mean, how can they – it's not at UC. Like, they have to feel somewhat better than last year. I mean, that was a generational program,
and we'll get into that a little bit
program history
later.
So they have to feel a little bit better. I mean, I'm not sure how much better I would feel.
Yeah, but they knew that was a top 5 team in college football.
I don't, that I don't blame him for, how he does that and how anybody like that would do that. I mean, your goal coming into the season is to win your conference, especially in the MAC. Like, go to the conference championship game, win the conference, go to a halfway decent bowl game. I really, really doubt that on their like goal list is like beat UC.
At this point, how can it be?
But I don't think that
honestly,
any team looks at it as like a singular,
in a rivalry game, sometimes you're like,
yeah, but I mean, like if you're talking even like an Ohio State, win the Big Ten championship, play for a national championship, then it's probably like beat Michigan.
Yeah, but beat Michigan there is
it's different than when you've lost 15 in a row. Like
Michigan, it's beat Ohio State.
Yeah, their big goal is to win the MAC. Like, and I don't blame them. So you do what you need to do to win the MAC.
That should be their goal.
And they lost.
What is Luke talking about? Our goal is to play for championships.
Yeah.
To play for the American Athletic Conference championship every year. That's our goal.
They lost their starting quarterback with like under 3 minutes to go in a game against Kentucky. They were down 24.
Sam, Luke Fickle disagrees. It isn't a rivalry anymore. It's just now even, Sam. It's just now even. That's
for us to discuss. Like, to me, it's not really, but like, I don't blame him or the players for looking at it differently.
Is Paycor a sellout? No.
No, because it's not allowed to be.
The upper deck is literally closed, right? Like, they didn't sell any seats up there?
No, because they would not have sold enough to make it worth their while to have security and concessions and all the logistical things that go into opening up the upper deck for say a couple hundred people to go up there.
Crypt Keeper said it makes us look bad with 43,000 in the seats in a 65,000 stadium. I don't think anybody cares.
No.
Like, look around college football anymore, man. There's some sights and scenes around the nation, if you look, where it's like
no one's gonna be like, look, Cincinnati is such a like low class team, they can't even sell out the Bengals stadium, like when it's not even their game to sell out. I mean,
yeah, it's literally a Miami home game. I think that's enough of the ancillary stuff. Kennesaw State, you guys did a fantastic job again on the brunch, recapping that one. If you guys aren't checking out the Bearcat Brunch Sunday morning live at 9:30, and then the video stays up on YouTube immediately. I get the podcast up as soon as I can. It is outstanding. It is, I think, right now the best thing we're doing. So,
well, I appreciate that. I think it was fun to talk about a win. I don't really have a whole lot else on the game itself that I didn't already cover.
Thanks, Tonk. He's paying for his beer at your tailgate, so you better bring Tonk an extra beer.
Oh, I'll have plenty of those. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much from that game that wasn't already discussed. So, please go back if you haven't. Listen to the brunch. I know it's 3 days old now, but 63-10 against a pretty decent FCS team. That's about it. I mean, Tracy actually brings up, the only point I was going to make about Chuck and his gear, and I'm just happy for the dude. Like,
yeah,
he's had a rough couple of years, and
he's stuck with it. Chunk.
And and he looks good. I mean, he about busted one. Dude got him right on the shoe. He might have housed it, but
I was
fast enough to split the two other guys. But
I was standing with Joe Daneman. McClellan has another level. He's pushing it. And Joe was like, sometimes when you're a photographer, you just have those days where like your camera's always on when nothing happens, and as soon as you're changing spots or readjusting or the camera's down, boom, something big happens. And right on that play, Joe had said to me, I think the play before, I haven't gotten anything today. And then Chuck just barely got grabbed by his ankle, and I was like, that was almost it. Almost it. It was literally a shoestring. We'll get to Will and Malik in a moment. We can get to him now. Malik probably done. At least for this year. And there's maybe a small chance, like by a bowl game, you could maybe see Malik again.
Yeah, I mean, a torn pec is usually a when you have a surgery, and that's not like inside news. Luke talked about it.
Right.
That's usually a season deal.
Yeah. I talked to him yesterday. He's pretty down, as you would expect. That was a guy that like everybody, he had visions of having a huge year last year with everybody else and getting that ride into the NFL, right? And then he had the high ankle sprain, and that high ankle sprain really screwed up his season. So he was like, all right, I'll come back this year and make my push this year. And then really before the season even gets started, he has the torn pec. So I feel awful for him. Like, as I said on Twitter last night, Malik's probably the guy I've gotten to know best, like developed the best friendship with in my entire time doing this. Sad for him, frustrated for him, that you could feel the sadness and the frustration like in his voice when I was talking to him yesterday. I was heartbroken when he told me on the field Saturday. He's standing there in a sling, and I was like, that looks bad. He's like, yeah, I tore my pec. Son of a bitch, man. Like, some kids you have a connection with and you really pull hard for to accomplish everything they've ever wanted to accomplish. And it really does suck pretty bad to see, him have his season end that way. Will Pauling, MCL injury, out for a couple weeks. That one, I thought, and you thought both that was.
I thought it was
that looked like more of a season ender than Malik's did.
Yeah, because you just don't know. I mean, Malik was still like, kind of came in the locker room at halftime, just had his jersey, had his pads off, had his jersey on, stuff like that. I mean, they took Will off on a cart. You just kind of assume that is an ACL. Right. Obviously we have no idea, but it's kind of the way it goes. So, we'll see how long that takes to come back from. I mean, he's a quickness, lateral type guy, type of player, and you never know how long it takes for that, for an injury to heal, and then for the player to also, regain the confidence to really push it and do those things. So, we've talked a lot, especially in camp, just about like liking a lot of the team, liking the depth. Well, we're 2 games in and we're really starting to test it. I mean, Ryan Montgomery played a handful of snaps in the first game. He's been out since. You lose your starting center. Now you lose one of your starting defensive linemen. You lose for, a to-be-determined amount of weeks. Your second-team punt returner, second-team slot receiver who had already made an impact.
I would say, I don't know if you'd agree with me, in terms of like what we expected coming out of camp as it related to what we saw on the field, Will Pauling was maybe my biggest surprise through the first week and a half.
Well, not mine, since I put him.
More just in terms of how much
last year. Yeah,
but how much he was out there and how much they were using him.
Oh yeah,
not that he was being successful.
No, he was getting a lot of snaps.
Yeah, I anticipated him playing. I just it felt like up until he got hurt, like every time you'd look out there, you'd be like, damn, Will's bad. Like, they got Will in again. Like, they were leaning on him a lot more heavy in that wide receiver rotation than I thought heading into the season. I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Not that I didn't think he would be good.
Sure.
But that they were like, you're one of our, like, you're a primary, you're a 1A, basically.
Yeah. Right. And, it's just, it would be nice if we can go through a game without losing a frontline player for an extended period of time.
Tracy, if Chuck is really your son, you have done a phenomenal job. That is an outstanding kid. I joked with him after the game on the field. Saturday, I was like, did you go back to Georgia and like hop in the fountain of youth, or like what's up, man? He's outstanding, and it's we talked about it Monday a lot. It's been really cool to see him, kind of having his glow up after such a great freshman season in a limited role where everybody was like, man, this kid's going to be a home run hitter for a long time. And then to tear both ACLs, and still stick with it and get back to this point, like that's outstanding.
So what do you obviously you have Trey, but what do you think, who are the next couple guys that you think move into that slot role?
I mean, isn't Tyler the one that makes the most sense? He's only a half inch taller than Trey. Like, they're identical humans almost.
Yeah. But he's so good.
I know he's been, but I mean, I guess I say that because you have so much variety outside. Nick Mardner, Chris Scott, Jaden Thompson.
I mean, we've seen a lot of, especially in like the NFL. And the NFL uses it as a way to get guys open, but like we've seen a lot of size going into the slot. What do you think of like Chris Scott getting in there?
They use Jaden Thompson,
right, in a pinch in that game specifically.
Yeah.
But like I look at like with Chris Scott.
I wouldn't mind Chris Scott. He's got the best hands on the team.
He's got the best hands. He's got the body and the power on like slants and stuff. And then like it'd be awesome to have a guy that run blocks that well in the slot, because then your line, you can do stuff on the edge. You can do stuff with linebackers and safeties. It's not, they don't have a lack of options, but I think it does kind of put them into a little bit of a pinch. Taking someone that is more of an outside guy and having to put him in there, but someone's going to have to do it because Trey's not going to play every snap. So,
right,
somebody's going to have to go into the slot.
And I mean, really, the only other guy they had was JoJo Bermudez, and he's not available this year.
Right. I mean, maybe you just put Wiley in the slot.
Right. Maybe Chuck. Maybe that's a spot for Chuck. You put Chuck in the slot.
That's right. But no, I mean, it's like we had, everybody talks injury luck, and we had an amazing team last year where you could probably count the games on one hand that the main players missed.
Right. I mean, I think,
and so we're the next year, you're getting the depth tested, immediately.
Call me crazy. I think there's an argument that could be made that like Jake Renfro is maybe the best pro prospect on this team. Coming into the season.
I mean, you could probably make that argument.
I'm not saying it's like a lock, but like you lose maybe your most like NFL talented guy. Like I think if he stays healthy, he'll play center in the NFL for a long time.
Well, and you lose him, and then there was probably, I mean, I don't know what the percentage would be. Let's just call it 50-50. There was probably a 50-50 chance that Gavin Gerhardt was going to start at left guard.
70-30. I think Gavin was the starter at left
right.
guard.
So I'm just saying, but so like not only do you lose your starting center, you're then shifting the person that was going to be a starter at guard to center.
Right.
The offensive line, I think, has been good-ish. I'm hoping they can be better.
There's been a couple, I think, individual missed assignments that have been like I haven't been worried about them as a group as much as I've been, I think Huber got beat on a play against Kennesaw. Tunstall definitely got beat on that strip sack against Arkansas that was critical. Like there have been a couple individual missed assignments that I think are worrisome. I think as a group, the Cooper hold that called back the chunk touchdown. But I think as a group, like I think that's basically what you're saying. as a group, they've been pretty good, but there's been some individual stuff that still needs.
And that's going to happen. But I mean,
sure.
And plus, how much of that is just Gerhard getting his feet wet, him getting the calls? We have. That's why I try to stay away from as much offensive line analysis as possible, unless it's clearly obvious that just one guy just got beat on an individual play, because I have no idea what they're being told to do, what their assignment is on that specific play. Who missed the call, who didn't make the right. I couldn't tell you for anything, so I try to stay away from that type of analysis.
Right, I agree,
but
I'm not that smart.
Eventually, it's you kept saying it. People talk about it. It doesn't catch up to you until it catches up to you, or it's not a problem until it's a problem. And you keep having injuries like this, and eventually it's going to be a problem.
Right. Hopefully they've gotten them out of the way in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, we can talk about how much we like some young guys and how much they've built the depth and all that, but eventually you just have too many guys on the field that have not been out there in critical situations.
Yeah, I mean, that was already a major issue, going in to the season. So many new guys that haven't been out there when it's go time. And now you've got even more guys that are out there that haven't been when it's go time. The defensive line is definitely going to be interesting. Is this simply Eric Phillips moves into that number one role and Ryan Mullaney backs him up, as we saw, who I thought Mullaney did a really good job against the triple option.
I think it probably puts, unless absolutely forced, I think it puts the kibosh on any thoughts of a 4-down look.
Yeah. I mean, that makes you real thin in terms of who's coming in behind, because then you're moving, when they go to that 4-down look, Jabari goes inside. Now, Phillips and Watley, or Phillips and Potter are your ones. You just get really thin at D end. Right. Going to a traditional 4-down. I think that means they rely a lot more on that Jaheim Thomas package. So,
luckily, Navy stinks, so I'm not too concerned with it against them. But hopefully we have a healthy Saturday and start to get some guys back. I imagine we won't see Montgomery, but I would think he's maybe a week or two away. And
it's a broken rib, I think, from what I've heard. Nothing terrible, but painful.
Probably, more of a pain thing. And obviously you got to have it heal, but I mean, how much pain can you withstand taking a rib shot from a D lineman or linebacker?
Right. That's kind of the injury situation and where things are at up and down the roster, as much as we know. If you know our policy, we don't talk about it until Luke talks about it. Luke has spoken about these things, so it's up for conversation. I don't really have much else from Kennesaw that hasn't already been discussed between the brunch and the BBP. That's kind of the new stuff that has come out since the game was over, and through media yesterday and the coaches show. I guess that brings us to Miami, Dave. Yeah. Time for the Dave Simone weekly preview of an opponent. Now, what's kind of crazy, you could almost argue with the quarterback out, Miami lost just as much in terms of relevance to their team from last year. They lost their two best defensive players. Their quarterback is out.
They lost their 4 best defensive players.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the guys, Dominic Robinson, he was one of the highest graded rookies or highest graded defensive ends in the NFL this week for the Bears.
Right.
Obviously, Ivan Pace transferred to UC. They had another guy transfer to Kansas, and
He had a really good week, didn't he?
He was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week in Week 1.
I think that qualifies as pretty good.
And then they had a safety drafted, I think, as well, or was a free agent. I mean, he was at the Combine, he was at the Senior Bowl, quality player there too. So yeah, they lost some significant pieces off their defense last year.
Yeah, and now you're without their quarterback.
Now, Brett Gabbert was injured at the end of the Kentucky game. They also lost their starting left tackle and starting tight end in that game as well. Doesn't sound like they withstood any significant injuries last week, although I'll get to when we talk running backs. There was an interesting thing I found. But basically, Avion Smith, dual threat quarterback, has been there a couple of years, but has been behind Gabbert and A.J. Mayer. So A.J. Mayer transfers to Arkansas State, so now he's the backup. Got his first start last week against Robert Morris. Decent game, 14 for 22, 155, 3 touchdowns and interception. Again, as much as I don't take a ton away from when UC plays Kennesaw, I'm not going to take a ton away from what they did against Robert Morris. I mean, so, it'll be interesting because, yes, you obviously want your quarterback in this type of situation to get a game under their belt. From an operation standpoint, from the huddle, managing, but great. You played against Robert Morris, and now this game is going to be nothing like that. So how much does it really help you?
Right. You're in a rough spot now if you're Miami.
Yeah.
Is the quarterback any good? The backup.
I mean, he's been the backup for 3 years. How good is he?
Well, they had A.J. Mayer was the backup.
He was third string. This is his third year at Miami.
Okay.
It's not like he's a freshman or redshirt freshman.
And by dual threat, do you mean like we're going to see a lot of RPO?
I mean, they'll run him. I think they have to run him. They have a bunch of running backs. I'm not sure how great any of them are, but I think they have to have that element in their offense because they're not great passing the ball. But SP Plus, they're 90th overall, 87th on offense, 95th in defense. Sagarin has them 102. FPI has them 105. So they're not good. SP Plus projection has it 40-15. The spread's gone from 19.5 to 22.5 this week, if you're into that type of thing. They held pretty tight with Kentucky for the first half, trailed 13-10, and they gave up a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and then also
had a play of the second half, right?
Opening kickoff of the second half, and then also had a punt blocked. So special teams has to be a huge concern from them. Coach Martin talked about that specifically on Monday, talking about how much UC blocks punts, how they need to work on double and triple shield punt protection, which should then give you an opportunity to return a punt if they're concentrating so heavily on protection. There's less, guys going out into the formation to cover the punt itself.
If Cincinnati has anybody to return a punt.
True. Or if they just, put somebody back there and tell them to fair catch everyone so that we don't get anybody else hurt.
Right.
But running the ball, so their leading rusher against Kentucky was Tyree Shelton, who's been there a while, 7 for 50 and a touchdown. And then he has no stats last week.
Did he play?
Not that I'm aware of. Why wouldn't he have carried the ball? They had Kevin Davis and Kenny Tracy each had 5 carries for 63 and 52 yards. Why would he not have gotten any carries?
Is he hurt?
And yet, Chuck didn't say he was. There's obviously not a ton of information out there to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was weird. Your leading running back who had a first quarter 22-yard untouched touchdown against Kentucky then doesn't get a carry the next week against Robert Morris. Or what did he get hurt at the end of the Kentucky game and they rested him? for the UC game. I just don't know. I just thought that was interesting that he got nothing. Against Bob Morris. Mac Hippenhammer, if you followed this rivalry, you know him. He's been there a couple of years, transferred from Penn State. Wide receiver. He's had a good start to the year, 11 for 137, 2 touchdowns. But then, tight end is the second leading receiver, 6 for 68. Then their third leading receiver has 7 catches for 32. Nobody else has more than 3 catches. They're not I don't think they're going to scare UC with their passing game. Hippenhammer can make some plays, but I think there's ways to shade your defense to just kind of take him out if that's what they choose to do. They've got their run defense has been excellent. Again, 2 opponents, 1 being FCS, but they're only giving up 1.7 yards per carry, and they did do a nice job against Kentucky. Granted, Chris Rodriguez was out, their leading rusher, but you would think Kentucky's got plenty of backs the way that they play offense. I brought it up with you. I think I maybe brought it up with Jeff. Asking the question, is UC a passing team? This is another one. They don't do great against the pass. Most of their new players on defense are in the secondary. Probably going to see more Ben Bryant slinging it around.
To answer that question, yeah, I think this is a passing team.
Will Levis threw for over 303 touchdowns on him. Now, the guy last week, I don't think, they just don't have the athletes on the outside to really challenge him. And UC has way better wide receivers than Kentucky does. So I'm sure that's what's going to happen. They're 95th pass efficiency defense. UC's top 25 in yards per attempt and QB rating or passer rating, however you want to look at it. So, UC's been great on third down, 54%. Miami's great against third down. They've only given up 22% conversion rate.
Again, you know how you beat that?
Yeah, throw the ball.
Don't get into third down.
Right.
Get first down on first and second
down.
Throw
the ball on first down, unlike the other team in this town.
Oh, I only could imagine your feelings on the predictability of the Bengals on offense.
Yeah, you go under center and then run the ball 89% of the time. I'm pretty sure most people could figure out what you're going to do. But I think
you could even figure that out.
That's for a different show. Their linebacker Ryan McWood, who I've seen some people talk about his 7th year. I'm not sure if that's accurate. But I know he's been there a long time, was hurt last year, is back. So maybe we're in 6th year and maybe even 7th year.
Well, if he got hurt 2 years and had a COVID year, you can get 7 is out there.
But he's a quality linebacker, especially at the MAC. Probably one of the better linebackers in the MAC, leading tackler. They got a couple defensive transfers from Power 5. Our fans might remember the name Michael Dowell. I think he was an Ohio kid that went to Michigan State, transferred to Miami as a safety. Corey Suttle, defensive lineman, transferred from Iowa State. I think obviously UC will probably test their run defense, but we're just playing teams that, if Ben or Evan, for that matter, plays anywhere near like they did against Kennesaw with two and now 3 tight ends that can make an impact and a wide receiver room, like you're just not going to be able to stop them consistently. Right. Dudes are just going to get open. There's going to be mismatches, and then your run defense is going to start to get shredded because you're getting killed on the outside.
Usually not great. Not great, Bob. Usually not a great recipe. If you struggle to stop the run and the pass, an offense like this where there's balance and there's talent and there's an ability to do both things, and there's an ability to beat you outside over the top, there's ability to beat you inside over the middle to the sidelines and over the top.
I would run the very same play they ran to Scott on the first play last year.
Again.
The first play this year. Just be like, you still can't stop it. So
come
why
get
not?
You some.
Yeah,
I do it the second play. I'd run. I'd run the first play to make them, forget about it, and then do it the second play.
Make them forget about it. I don't think
Yeah,
they forget about that.
it. I'm obviously being facetious, Dave.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of the rundown. I mean it's hard to 2 games in, one worth looking at, one not exactly, but you can glean a few things, especially when it comes to like not having your starting quarterback and starting left tackle. I think that's probably a pretty big deal.
Yeah, we'd probably be having a little bit different conversation and a longer conversation if Gabbard was available. Because he's pretty good.
Well, he's pretty good, and they played pretty well until against Kentucky, I think.
So they self-imploded.
Especially the first half, and then you give up a kick return right away, and I'm sure that kind of like just basically, puts the end to your thoughts of really
pulling the upset
or staying with them. But
what's the Simone final outcome?
Oh, like a score prediction.
Yeah, I mean you don't write into the columm on Fridays.
You didn't ask me to.
You've told me before. I do it during this podcast. I'm not sending you that.
True.
Why would I send that to you, knowing you're not going to participate?
I was going to be real close last week until we returned 2 defensive touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, those are hard to account for.
Yeah, I was looking good there for a minute. I think it'll be kind of maybe what I thought last week. No, not that bad. Like, I'll go 45-13.
Tonk says 300 yards for Ben.
I would think that's well within reason.
As long as he is in there long enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't anticipate that being the case, and kind of brings me to a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Dan Hoard does his kind of like minute with Coach Fickle every week that gets put on SoundCloud, Twitter, whatever. And then they kind of talked about it last night on his coach's show regarding, Evan and what do you do? Are you going to do a special package? Just kind of like, how are you going to continue to manage this situation when, he came in against Kennesaw and played great. And I've always been a proponent of not a 2 quarterback system where you say like you get the first 3 series and then you get the next 3, or then then whoever plays better plays the rest of the game, or something like that. But I've always been like, he's got a very special skill set. You use it with every other position on the team. You carve out roles and you carve out certain things. Why wouldn't you use it if you have that ability at quarterback to where maybe, you block a punt or you get a good punt return and a quick change and you run him out there and you have that type of a series for him. Or, I don't know, could be a multitude of different things. But it seemed from the way that Coach Fickle was talking about it that this is definitely more of a possibility than maybe we anticipated or he even anticipated coming into the season, that he's going to start playing him more than just like we're up 50-0 type situations.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I agree, but the way he talked about it made it sound like
it's
at least being discussed and is a possibility. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be interesting to see if he pulls the trigger in a game. Right, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like,
right, like if you're up 14-0 and you get the ball back, like that's a big difference than being up 35-10 with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Right. You're up 14-0, something goes wrong, and it's 14-7.
For
then
sure.
it becomes.
I just thought it was interesting that on 2 occasions, like his tone was definitely more in the direction of like, yeah, we're going to think about it because he does bring something to the game that the other team will not have seen, and can offer us a playmaking ability that Ben doesn't have. I mean, Ben is a pure pocket passer.
Look,
and Evan is not a pure pocket passer. Like I don't think that's me taking a knock at his throwing ability. That's just not his game, and I think he'd be more than happy to tell you that he's not a pure pocket passer.
Look at how he just dusted the defense the minute that Shaman threw that block and got him outside.
Right.
Gone. And I don't care if that's still, yes, it's an FCS team, but that's a team with speed from Atlanta.
Well, the thing too is like you've been playing a certain type of offense, preparing for a certain type of offense. You can't, like, whether it's Miami or anybody else, like you can't really prepare thinking maybe they're going to put him in. So they put him in for a series, and the defense is not anywhere mentally prepared to like, oh shit, now they got a running quarterback in who's faster than me.
Here's my question. Does it have to be a series?
I mean, I guess not. It could be a play.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden, Evan comes in. Maybe Ben goes to the sidelines, or maybe Ben is like split out.
Wide receiver?
Yeah, like just all the way, out to the sidelines, like away from the play. Or maybe I still think, and you'll think I'm crazy, I still think my favorite offense I've ever seen in my life, Dave, and nobody will really get this reference. Back in, I think it was 2004. Might have been 2002, one of the two. Michael Bush was a senior at Male High School in Louisville. You'll remember Michael Bush because he was a monster at Louisville. He was a monster in the NFL. And they had a pocket passing quarterback, and Bush was the running back. The pocket passing quarterback got hurt and missed a pretty significant portion of the season. So they moved Bush to quarterback. And then as the playoffs rolled around, the pocket passer came back. And what they did was they just took the two offenses and combined them.
Yeah, they just
put
on the field
both
at
of
the
these
same time
dudes
every play.
In the backfield next to each other without the defense knowing where the snap was going to go. And when Bush got it, he could still throw. Like he had a cannon of an arm. But when Bush got it, they were run heavy. And when the pocket passing guy got it, they were a passing offense. And it was wild to watch. Because I couldn't imagine being a defense looking at that and going, what's the call? Like what's the play? What's the call? What actually do we do?
I want to see him put both of them out wide on opposite plays and run the option, and you pitch it.
Flip it back to
either Evan keeps it or he pitches it to Ben and then Ben throws it, or Ben runs the option, flips it to Evan, and he yes,
we can do whatever.
This is why I need to be an offensive coordinator.
That male offense was part of the best football game I've ever seen. Hands down. I still have never seen anything close to it. And that includes UC Pitt. They played Brian Brom in the state championship at the old Cardinal Stadium on the fairgrounds down there.
Coach Brian Brom?
Yeah. And it was Trinity. Brown was the quarterback for Trinity. Bush was the quarterback for Male. The game ended 59-56. And it was there was a stretch in that game, Dave, where Brian Brom threw 4 passes for 80, 60, 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. 80-yard touchdown, 40-yard completion, 40-yard touchdown, 80-yard touchdown. I was literally like, that was back when I was like doing a lot of camera work. One team would score and you didn't even have time to shoot the extra point.
You had to run to the other end.
Sprint to the other end because there was probably going to be a touchdown in like 3 or 4 plays.
Yeah.
It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Like the atmosphere, especially, both of those kids were going to Louisville. So the whole city was kind of like right on top of that one. It was incredible. But I'd love to see somebody replicate that Mayo offense with a dual threat and a pocket passer that just stood next to each other. And at least 50% of the time, the dual threat was the running back.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so when you snapped it to the pocket passer, you still had, a back next to him in the backfield.
They could still just hand it to him, and he's an
Right.
NFL running back getting the ball. So, but
Right.
yeah, I mean,
I don't know if there's a link to that game, Tom.
I don't know.
I'm sure somebody search it up. Trinity Mail. I think it was either 02 or 04. I don't recall specifically.
So I don't know. I don't like you said. You'll see it when you believe it, and when does it happen? Or you'll believe it when you see it. That's what I should have said. And when does it happen? But I just thought it was interesting that, it was discussed in more of like a, definitely not in a throwaway way. Like, no, we have Evan's still,
we have a quarterback.
Evan's working, but we have a starter, and he definitely did not, take that angle with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Like,
What happened?
I don't know. My screen just went like pink.
Well, I can still see you and hear you, so we're fine.
Okay.
Anything else for this game?
No, I mean, I guess we get to the Simone family tailgate.
Do we want to discuss Coach Martin's thought of the transfer portal?
Yeah, we can get to that. I don't have a problem with that necessarily.
Since it involves two Bearcats, he had comments on, which I don't think he really said anything
out of pocket,
out of turn. I mean, he said, speaking about Ivan, they didn't recruit him. We did. He came to us. We thought he was really good. Thought he was the best player in Ohio. He played really good for 2 seasons, and now he's good enough for UC.
4 seasons.
No, I haven't played for Miami for 2 seasons.
No.
What? Or he was 1. He said 2, so I don't know if maybe he redshirted a year or something. I don't know. Either way. And then said now he's good enough.
He sat out 20. So I don't know if he COVIDed, like took the coat, like didn't play because of COVID, or if he got hurt or whatever. 19 and 21.
Yeah,
he was there. Okay, sorry.
So seems fairly accurate to me. And just said like, we wish we still had him. He's really good.
This says, actually, this is interesting. He played in 2020, but they only played 3 games, remember?
Yeah.
Started all 3 games, finished the year with 26 tackles, 2 pass breakups, 10 tackles versus Ball State. So that technically could be his red shirt and his COVID year.
So maybe Chuck was just looking at it as like, not even like mentally, not even counting that as like a
I'm just talking about how much. I'm just thinking how much time he has left.
Yeah,
because this is technically really his only 3rd year of playing football. He might have 2 more years after this.
Yeah, and then he talked about how it was like they sent Ben Bryant down to the minors,
which we've made that joke how many times?
Yeah, and then called him back up.
Like, that's our joke. That's our line.
He must listen to the pod.
He must. What's up, Chuck? Good hearing from you. But no, that, like, this is a guy that just speaks what's on his mind. I don't think he said anything out of pocket.
They didn't offer Ivan when he was coming out of high school.
And it's 1,000% fact. He wanted to come here.
Yes. And so it's
He
not
waited
like
and waited for the offer, and it didn't come.
Yep, and that's part of the portal. I mean, guys grow, they develop, they get better, or they fit a need. That you didn't know that you maybe you didn't need a guy like that when he was a freshman or coming out, and now you do. So, but yeah, I just thought it was, I like him because a lot of coaches would probably be like, we're, wish him well. I mean, he's not on our team anymore, so not gonna talk about him. And he gave a good soundbite, good answer.
I mean, I don't think it's a secret, right? Like, he's small, he's undersized.
Sure.
And they were looking at that point in time. Like, I think what actually probably worked against him most in that situation, and it's kind of weird to say this, honestly, but I think they were looking to go in a different direction from Perry and Jarrell.
Yeah, it makes it weird because you're like, you want to go.
Those guys were really good.
You want to go in a different direction of two ultra productive, undersized linebackers. Like, they kind of prove to you that
Right.
you can be super productive and have successful careers and not be your prototypical size. So part of you would be like, well, then why are you hell bent on going away from that? But I think the thing is like, you kind of look at it as how many times in a row are we going to hit on that? Because you're playing the outlier card.
Yeah, but here's where I disagree. You're playing the outlier card when it comes to recruiting NFL prospects.
But that's what they're trying to do.
I know, but there's also room
for really good college players, right?
For really good college players. Not every kid you're going to recruit is an NFL prospect. So
but
there
I think
is
they look
room.
at it as our hit rate.
I know.
Our hit rate is going to be better. Like, we got this 2 times in a row. Is that really going to work a third?
Well, and guess what now, Dave?
Yeah.
Go look at that 2023 recruiting class.
Yeah.
Rohan Davey is Perry Young. He's, Jarrell White. He's Ivan Pace. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, he might even be like, is he a true linebacker? Could he be more like a big safety?
Maybe. I mean, we'll see when he gets here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely, whether, he's undersized, if that's, at the baseline conversation for a linebacker. So,
I mean, Tonk, you're in the right ballpark. His point was he saw Ivan's potential and said others weren't good enough at recruiting to see his potential. Now that he goes off, everyone's like, oh, never mind, we want him now. Like, I don't think anybody, after watching Ivan Pace be Division I, Defensive Player of the Year in the state, thought that he didn't have potential.
No, I think they didn't think he would be good. They were just looking for something different. I mean,
right.
I can love a wide receiver to death, but I'm like, that's just not what we're looking for with this scholarship. I mean, we're not saying that he's not going to be good, but like, for what we need and for what we want to use this particular scholarship on, that guy doesn't fit. I'm sure there's tons of slot receivers that they love as football players, but you don't need a wide receiver room full of slot receivers.
Right. Until
they all get hurt.
Right. Yeah, like I don't think Cincinnati ever thought Ivan wasn't good enough. I just think they felt he didn't match what they were looking for. They wanted to get longer, more rangy, like more, I don't want to say athletic because he's athletic, but also remember when Ivan got here, he's 265. Like he was a defensive end. I think that was the other question. It was not only size, but he was a little doughy, if we will. And at 230, he's a machine. Sorry, Chuck. Like it,
Hey, you're in year 9, Chuck. Be grateful that they've kept you around this long.
I think he's accomplished what they are interested in accomplishing, right?
I do
right?
too. I mean, I think they're never going to be great, but they're not probably ever going to be 2-10 with him. So it's like, what do you, you're going to get rid of him and then what?
They're going to be a contender in the MAC in their division every year. They're going to have an opportunity to play for MAC championships most of the time. Whether they win their division of the MAC or not is to be determined, but they're going to be in play. Like that's in play for them, I think, every year with the roster that they've built.
I would think so. More times than not. I mean, you always have your outliers, but
this isn't 20 years ago, man. Teams from the MAC. What's the last great team from the MAC, Dave?
PJ Flex team, probably.
Who did they upset?
No, they go undefeated and then lost to Wisconsin in the bowl game.
Yeah, but I thought they might have got somebody in the regular season.
I don't even remember, but that's probably what I would call a great one, right?
Yeah, and that was 7 years ago.
Ish, yeah.
Like those days have passed the MAC by.
Yeah, the Northern Illinois team with Jordan Lynch or somebody Lynch at quarterback played Florida State. No, but that was even before a flex team.
Yeah. Like the MAC just is not, and here's what I respect about the MAC. Like they're not swimming upstream. They're like, look, we're okay with who we are. We're not trying to like add a bunch of teams. We don't have a bunch of teams trying to leave. We know we're not making a bunch of money. Athletics is what it is. Like it has its place and we understand it, but we're just going to be who we are and, go along happy about our day.
I think so. I think that's fair.
They're certainly not like Conference USA and the Sun Belt and the AAC are all like, and the Mountain West are like knifing each other for position to be that top group of 5 once the deck chairs settle.
Yeah.
The MAC's like, we're just going to enjoy our Mai Tai over here by the pool. Maybe next time. Simone family tailgate.
I think it's a breakfast tailgate. I think so.
What does that have to do with
I think
the
like
MAC?
some
What does that have to do with the MAC competing with Power 5 teams?
Yeah, guys have great individual careers all the time.
And Eric Fisher was also coached by Mike Cummings, so duh.
Of course he was a first overall pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, some breakfast casseroles, some bacon, some sausage, I think usual. Probably some mimosas, some Bloody Marys, some
Jello shots.
Obviously Jello shots. But yeah, we'll see. I know there's some consternation in the fan base regarding getting downtown and the all the things that are happening with Oktoberfest and I guess some sort of foot race and when streets are going to open and things of that nature. And, unfortunately, UC has, virtually no part in this. I've had a conversation today, in fact, with someone over there, and they're certainly going to be looking into it. I'm not sure what all can be figured out or relayed to the fan base by Saturday, because it's kind of it's not kind of, it's a city / kind of Bengals, but Miami thing. I mean, it's their home game. So
the Bengals are calling more shots on this than people realize.
but not
yes.
for like street closures. Like that's being done by
Right. That's the city. That's obviously the city.
Yeah, the city, and then it's up to Miami to coordinate that and let fans know, like, when we, if they choose to. I mean, they might not give a shit. I don't know. Let people know when parking lots are going to open and things along those lines. So, the university is aware of it. Obviously, they don't want a bunch of angry calls from fans. I couldn't get into this lot because they don't. I mean, that's not really up to them. But then they have to, try to smooth it over. So
yeah,
they're aware. I don't. But like I said, I'm not really sure what they can truly do about it. When it comes to having the police or whoever move barriers once runners are through areas, but
right.
It's just an I mean, you could, I guess you could, if you want to, you could say it's poor planning. I just think it's kind of an unfortunate happenstance that the game is at noon versus another time, and then it's also Oktoberfest, and there's a race, and sometimes there's just things that are out of your control and that just are unavoidable.
It's a terrible weekend to be having a Saturday game at Paul Brown Stadium
at noon. Even if it was at 3:30, it'd be fine.
Yeah, because the race would be cleared out by then.
Everything would be cleared out by then, and no big deal. It really just kind of sucks that it's a noon game and downtown the same weekend as Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll be at the Simone family tailgate this week. This might be I'm just going into the stadium. I'm not dealing with all this crap. Grumpy Chad might come out on Saturday.
I don't blame you if that's the case. Anybody else that wants to stop by, we'll be in lot 1. That is west of the stadium, across the street from the Bengals practice field. The weather looks good, so hopefully people can get in and enjoy their time.
We are supposed to enter at gate B. How close is that to you?
Honestly, I've been going to games there for so long, I don't even pay attention to what the gate letters are.
It's the new
Is it north? Is it on the north or the south side of the stadium?
I don't know. It just says credentials can be picked up at the Alta Fiber Gate, former Gate B.
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't even pay attention to those things because I've never had to.
Let's take a look.
Gate. Yes, that is close to me.
Okay.
That is on the north side of the stadium, closest to lot 1.
Okay.
So it's it's right by the pro shop. On the right side of the pro shop is gate B.
Yeah. That's actually where we've gone in before. So
yeah, so that is that is the closest gate to lot 1.
We have to go into the Central Riverfront Garage. I don't know where that is. Central Avenue, I guess that would be A on the map.
Yeah, but I know I was joking with my UC connection about Miami probably doesn't care because they're going to have about 10 people there to tailgate at that time.
Right.
So why do they care if a bunch of UC fans can't get into a tailgate lot?
I mean, it looks like where we're supposed to park is really close to you. So maybe we will get there a little early and just stop by for a few.
All right.
I was just anticipating I'm going to be annoyed with all of it.
Everybody might be if they can't get into these parking lots. They got a car full of food and drinks and no way to get in.
What a nightmare.
So,
I guess that would you have been okay? Like the alternative, I guess, is we would have had to have driven to Oxford for a noon game.
yeah, I mean, I still wouldn't love that idea.
Right?
The last time we went there, obviously, was the Malik Clemens interception return.
That was the last game there, right?
Right. The game that was supposed to be there was a COVID year.
Yeah.
We tailgated, and not the car right next to us, but the car in our row that you could see was a lovely man who I believe was his wife, Miami fans. And they pulled out their tailgate stuff and their 2 chairs, and they both sat down, and they each read a book. The entire tailgate, and never once said a word to each other. And then I assume
that's marriage.
I assume they went into the game. But yes,
that's just a delightful marriage.
I've seen a lot of damn things at a football tailgate. 2 people reading literature, maybe some fiction, some nonfiction. I don't know, but have not seen that.
Aaron, can you do me a favor and tag in for a second? I'm going to close my browser because it's acting really stupid right now.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your travel plans?
Are you coming
for Saturday? Are you coming
in super early to?
So, Rachel works on Saturday, so that'll be super fun.
So you're bringing the kid?
Bringing the kid.
Nice.
Dropping the kid off with mom, who is on a scooter because she had ankle surgery.
Well, at least your kid's non-mobile right now.
There is that. So I'll be leaving here about 7:30 to get to Mainville by 8:30. Well, no, I guess it would be 2:30.
You need to leave earlier than that if you want to get there at 8:30.
No, it'd be between 9:30 and 10 by the time I got there. So
yeah, I mean, like for you guys, if you're not going to be able to go to tailgate, I would just go in as late as possible.
Pretty much. I mean,
then the streets will all be cleared off by the time you come in. If you come in at like 10:30, 11, I don't think that's a problem at that point.
Let's just say it's times like this I miss having an apartment 2 blocks from the stadium.
We have to pay for parking.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
not ideal.
Silly.
As media.
Just expense that to BCJ LLC.
Yeah, I'll give Kelly the receipt and have her reimburse me.
I told Chad I'm gonna walk into Paycor and you guys validate.
Yeah.
I got a receipt here.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm you guys and I don't have to be there that early, like because of recruits and stuff, like I'm not messing with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brent and I got into Arkansas Stadium, I don't know, maybe an hour early, if I remember right.
Knowing what I know about like how this is going, I can't imagine the food in the press box is going to be edible. They're going to be like, here's some stuff left over from the Steelers game last week.
Oh, my God.
So I'm probably going to eat. If I don't come to your tailgate.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. Like, that gate is a 5-minute walk from our tailgate.
Chad, let's just.
So you could come in at 10:30 and park and be at our tailgate by 11, eat something, and then go in.
Let's just have Galactic delivered to the stadium.
DoorDash it to the stadium.
Shane, can you bring me some chicken?
Tell him to bring it to our tailgate.
Shane, are you watching? Bring some chicken to Dave's tailgate so we can eat.
Well, I want to eat it too.
I said we. I didn't say I.
Well, I didn't know if you meant you and Aaron.
And Brent.
We're not, no.
With this game being like
I think Brent could eat all the chicken.
If with this game being at big NFL stadium, is Brent going to wear like a vest, maybe a 3-piece suit?
I mean, I could not believe he was wearing slacks and dress shoes.
And a long sleeve shirt.
I don't know what he's doing sometimes.
I mean, I get dressed to impress.
I guess.
Just for the job you want, not the job you have.
I tried to read his recap, but I stopped at the 25,000 word mark. Thing was the longest article I've ever seen in my life.
On Kennesaw?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It was.
You know he's listening to this, so we still love you, Brent. This is all.
I make a joke about
this
that.
This is all because we love you.
So, yeah, he had a lot of words for a game that was 63-10.
It's like that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Right. That's a skill to be able to write. I mean, do we want to get the actual count? We can get the actual count.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm expecting like bow tie, cufflinks, wing tips.
It was only 2,000 words.
The Dhani Jones special.
2,000 words. That is 3 times as much as I write for the Athlon preview.
4 pages, 2,000 words.
Yeah.
In social media, like lingo, words aren't the thing. Characters, 10,650 characters. Characters excluding spaces, 8,690.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot of tweets, bro.
For a game that was over after 15 minutes.
It's a lot of tweets, bro. We love you, Brent.
But yes, at least the weather looks good. This would be a miserable experience if the weather was going to be crappy.
A couple days ago, it said it looked like it was going to rain. Is that
Saturday?
Is that no longer? Yeah.
I've only seen like nothing but great weather for 10 days in a row.
Oh yeah, 85, partly cloudy. I mean, it's gonna be a little warm.
I'm gonna have to bring some sunscreen to this game because last week I did not have any, and I didn't think it was gonna be sunny, and I got roasted. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The 16 in a row seems in the cards. I don't know what else we really have on this.
How about the forecast for next Saturday?
We're like looking that far out?
I just looked, so I'm scrolling.
What is it?
72 intervals of clouds and sunshine, winds 5 to 10 miles an hour.
Sexy.
That is, that's as football weather as it gets. Hopefully that holds up.
How is that game not 3:30 already? Like,
what's the other one?
Georgia Tech, UCF.
Yeah.
Like Georgia Tech's probably going to lose this week, and UCF plays like FIU. Like that's going to be the
who's Indiana play?
Who's Indiana play?
Yeah.
That Western Kentucky. I do know that actually.
Well, that's a game Indiana could lose.
They could. I don't think they will.
I'm not saying they will.
It's at home.
I'm saying that's a game Indiana could lose. Indiana has lost games of that caliber many times in the history of their program.
Almost all their games last year. So, like,
right.
Western Kentucky was one of the 2 teams they beat last year.
Yeah. No, that's about all I've got. You want to touch on any of the college football stuff from today?
Well, tell me what it is, because I've been
the SEC made some moves, canceling games against Oklahoma and Tennessee and Georgia.
Tennessee had a second game scheduled against OU, and Georgia had a series scheduled with Texas. And really, it just comes down to especially in the Tennessee case, the second game was when after Texas or after Oklahoma would already be in the league. So you're obviously not going to keep that.
Well, and the Tennessee game was a COVID game, right?
Yeah, they played
the first one.
Yeah.
And they wanted to reschedule it for later. Right. Essentially what everybody thought was, this is the SEC clearing the deck for Oklahoma and Texas in 2023.
because the Texas Georgia game was supposed to be next year, but that's not the issue. It's the second half of the series.
Right.
Would have been, they would have already been in the same league. It wasn't like a back-to-back, I don't think. Like, it wasn't like at Georgia next year and at Texas the year after, where there was maybe the chance that they would, weren't going to be in the league. So I don't think it was much to do about anything in that case.
Yeah. I think you're right. I the rest of the stuff, there wasn't any. There was a couple newsy things that, like, hold on,
What, Andrew Marchand and John, what's his name, from Sports Business Journal? They did a podcast today. And they do a podcast, I think, every week or whatever, but made mention that apparently the Pac-12 and ESPN are hundreds of millions of dollars apart.
shocking, right?
Yeah, can't believe it. It is kind of shocking because all we've been told is about the markets and the brands.
Right.
I have not listened, so I can't tell you, the details of it. I've just seen a couple tweets, but I would like to listen to it. I mean, Sports Business Journal is pretty tied in. They had the whole, all the Big Ten details kind of before anybody else started circulating them.
Right.
So
I'm trying to pull this up, and my Twitter is freaking out. That's the problem that I had earlier. And it's back. So I have to close it because I can't see anything. Can you pull up Ross Dillinger? The you know what I'm talking about?
I can. You want me to find his tweets?
Yes, there's some tweets of his I would like to talk about.
Yeah.
That go directly to the core of something that we've said for a long ass time.
Okay.
Which is essentially it is becoming clear, or people are speaking on the fact that there's no real interest in a split from the Power 5 or 4 or whatever you want to call it,
going on their own away from the NCAA.
Going on their own, right?
Yeah, take away from Lead One. I guess is what you're talking about. Take away from Lead 180 Summit regarding football governance. The preference is to keep FBS within the NCAA with a streamlined FBS only policymaking group. The momentum to split FBS from the NCAA is fading, as many have expected the last week. The Transformation Committee is exploring the FBS governance issue, and the goal is to find a way to keep FBS under the NCAA umbrella with more authority given to it, such as an FBS-only board, etc. Despite buzz lately of a split, the AD's support for it isn't there. Yeah, no kidding.
You know why? Because of exactly what he said in order to do that, you have to create a new NCAA that runs governance and policy and no shit. That it's not just easier to keep what you already have and streamline it into what you want, as opposed to creating something new and trying to do the same damn thing.
They really just want...
They want the NCAA to leave them alone.
They want different rules. They don't want the same rules for... I'll even go... the Power 5, whatever you want to say, Group of 5, FC,
the SEC and the Big Ten want to be left alone.
Yeah, and those, and anybody else that kind of agrees with them and
hangs out with them gets to be included in that.
Of those things, and
yeah,
it does. It kind we don't talk about it as much, but it's even more silly when you think about it in basketball. That 336 teams are all under the same.
Governance
and rules, that Duke and Kentucky have the same rules as Savannah
Abilene
State
Christian.
and Arkansas Pine Bluff, and
right.
It is a little silly when you look at it in that regard.
It's so dumb.
But they were never just going to be like, because I mean, the NCAA enforcement is a joke now anyway.
Right.
They're not.
They've already made that irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, there's hardly anybody doing that job. There's, doing the true enforcement, trying to find cheaters, trying to find, things that people are doing wrong. Like, and if you are bad enough at cheating to get caught, like, why would you ever talk to them about anything? Like, they don't have subpoena power. They can't make anybody that's not at school
just don't
anymore.
Get caught lying.
Right. They
It's
can't
like,
make
we're not
anybody
talking to you.
They can't make anybody that's not at school anymore talk to them. So,
Richard, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
What's up, Rich? So, yeah, as long as you don't lie, because if they're coming to you with something, it's probably because they already know the answer.
Right. Like, there's no desire to.
They don't have like a team of 30 guys and girls like doing investigative work and like trying to find things. If they're coming to your house, it's because they already know you did something wrong.
Right. It's like if the feds show up, they didn't accidentally stumble upon your name and address. You did something. Now, maybe you can get out of it, but chances aren't great. Like, nobody has any interest in the NCAA going away. That's what I've been trying to tell people for what feels like a decade. There's no interest in the NCAA going away because the NCAA is the perfect fall guy.
They just want their involvement changed and be allowed to make rule changes quicker than,
right.
three years. And they don't want the NCAA having hearings with Congress saying that NIL will ruin the sport and fans will leave if you start paying players and all these ridiculous things that they say. I mean, have you seen the damn ratings? Like,
they don't care. We're seeing every week this was the highest rated game. Texas, Alabama was like the highest rated game in football.
It was a noon game and did over 10 million and topped out at 15 million.
There wasn't an NFL game last year that had more viewers than that.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah.
I think the small numbers, like that quarterly or whatever, it topped out higher. I saw it topped out higher than any NFL or NCAA game in the past like 2 years or whatever.
I mean, there was 5 NFL games this week that were higher than that game.
I'd have to find it, but I can't use my fucking Twitter right now.
The Bengals Steelers game was the highest rated 1:00 CBS game in like 20 or 30 years. It did like 17.5, which is insane for a 1:00 game.
People are going to watch.
And they just want to be able to kind of like make adjustments and not have to go through all these loopholes and jump over hoops and jump through hoops and over hurdles and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to just go away.
Did I get jailed? No, I've got some weird, like, whenever a video plays, I get like a
you got reported.
Like if I had seizure issues.
If you had
epilepsy, I would be in trouble if I used Twitter right now. And I guess I need to start and restart my computer. It's something that's popped up the past couple of days.
Oh,
I don't know.
There's your answer.
I think there's just too much shit. Like, we do too much content, I think, is the problem with my computer right now.
Damn too much content.
My computer is begging for mercy.
Do we have anything else on football? Because I do have one quick topic that I want to hit. Then we can go to basketball.
I have one more thing I want to hit on football.
Okay, then I have one as well.
Dante Corleone's Skyline Order.
Oh, then I have two because I definitely wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
7 Cholitos
with French fries.
With fries, and then my favorite part was
he brings his own string cheese.
No, that's not even close to my favorite part. My favorite part is then on the side.
A large three-way
and
chili
cheese fries. Like on the side, like a salad is on the side.
I joked with Kelly.
Like a cup of soup is on the side.
I joked with Kelly. Me, you, your mom, her boyfriend, my dad, my stepmom, and Kelsey. That would be like there would be leftover food. There'd be leftover food.
Yes. Most people don't eat the on the side part as an entire meal.
A large 3-way and a chili cheese fry.
Yeah. I mean,
I can barely get down like a regular 3-way.
Jeffrey asks where Corleone's from. Coleraine.
Coleraine.
Coleraine Cardinals.
This was his
School.
was his Friday night post game meal. This is what he would
Corleone, Italy, yes.
This is what he would go and order at Skyline after a Friday night football game. Again, 7 Cholitos with French fries in them.
How many?
Gotta have a string cheese
how
too.
many orders of fries it takes to fill 7 Cholitos? Because it's not like a whole order of fries per Cholito.
No,
maybe three. One order of fries hits 3 Cholitos.
I think that's probably about right. Depending on it depends on how thick you're stacking your Cholito, right? Like, are you just doing it for a little crunch, or are you doing it to make your Cholito go from like this to like,
Well, if I'm guessing Dante Corleone high school, I don't think he was just doing it to add a little crunch.
He wasn't putting 2 or 3 French fries in there. He wasn't putting 2 or 3 French fries in there. Richard, thank you again. You're fucking awesome. I'm a Dixie Chili guy. I grew up in Northern Kentucky. Dixie Chili's a Northern Kentucky thing. I'm a Dixie Chili guy. I like Skyline. I'm not a Gold Star guy.
In the chili game, my allegiance, this is for sale. My allegiance will go to whatever place will change their hours to 24/7.
So you can get it like after the fact.
I think it's the biggest miss in the game that none of these places are open all the time. Like in Michigan, they have very similar like Coney Island and those type of places.
I'm pretty sure Price Hill Chili is open 24 hours.
Is it?
I think so.
Is that
Aaron, is there any?
You just have to go to Price Hill.
that could be a problem.
Just saying.
Aaron, can you pull up a Skyline? Like, is there a menu with a price? Like, we need to.
Well, Matt said $40 worth of Skyline.
It's got to be more than that. There's no way it's only $40.
I'll see what I can find.
Cholitos are probably like $3.50 a piece.
Yeah, that shit's expensive now, man. Cheese conies are like $3.
Yeah, I mean,
just a hot dog with a little chili on it, cheese.
I'm strictly. I don't know if you've listened to this. You've probably heard this. Like, I only mess with the conies. I don't do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, we would not be doing this podcast justice if we didn't figure out how much this order costs.
I'm a 3 or 4 depending on what's going on, Coney, and that's it.
There was also somebody in the thread on the message board, Dave, that said if you order fries in the Cholito, they charge you for a full order of fries for every Cholito.
What?
Yeah.
That's
okay, but Jeffrey. Okay.
Oh, we got it. We got it up.
We got it. Okay. Cholito, $5.
Oh my God! So you're $35 right there.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say it was.
That's without the fries.
I think this is including tax.
Let's say it was
okay.
it was $4 back when he was in high school. I know prices have gone up. So
yeah, he's a redshirt freshman. He wasn't in high school that long ago.
Only a couple of years.
Large 3-way, $11.67. So let's say hypothetically $4 for 7 Cholitos. That's $28. $10 for a large three-way. Do we have chili cheese fries on here? We'll go $6 for chili cheese fries. Plus the fries that go into
I've got
the Cholitos.
It just has. Why is that?
So we'll go we'll go light and go $7 on that.
Is it weird that their downloadable menu straight from their website only has calories and not prices? Like, you would think if I'm like looking at it online, like,
I had to search for a menu with prices.
I'd want to know what the prices were.
Because they're franchise
That's
owned,
because prices are so fucking outrageous right now. They're not showing them to you.
they're all franchise owned too, or
So
the
they're
vast
Yeah,
majority.
you
of
can
slightly
them.
set the
different.
price whatever they want.
slightly
yeah.
different based on location, right?
Right.
Let's just say minimum. Minimum. That is a $50 order.
So it's insane. It's awesome. I mean, I love it. I might. Here's the deal. Here's what I'll do. I'll put this on the BCJ podcast right now. If Dante Corleone has 2 sacks against Miami, I will go straight to Skyline after the game, and I will get the Corleone, and I will film myself eating it.
Are you going to have string cheese at the ready?
No, I won't have any string cheese.
String cheese is that's.
I do want to. I do want to know, like, well, what was the one string cheese? Like, where did it come from? Did you add it to a Cholito?
How
Did you
long
eat
had
it as
you-
like as a palate cleanser? Was it a
Look.
mousse? Was it a mousse bouche? Like,
How long
Look,
was it hanging
hold
out
on,
in his
hold on.
pocket?
Let's be very real. That dude was 350 pounds at Coleraine. He had string cheese.
right? But why do you just have like? Why are you like saying like, yeah, I had 7 Cholitos, all with fries, a string cheese, and then on the side I had a large 4-way and a chili cheese fry. Like, got it? I mean, like, where did the string cheese come from? Like, you already have all this. Like, what makes you go like, I got all this food, but you know what really is going to make me happy and top it off is I cannot forget the string cheese.
Because he just had string cheese with him. Always.
Because why wouldn't he?
I mean,
Right.
you
Like,
call him the Godfather. Should his new nickname be String Cheese?
nah, I think
I'm
it's
not
still
calling
the
him that.
Godfather. Yeah, I'm calling him the Godfather still.
But yeah, two
Yeah.
sacks. Let it be known, 2 sacks. Amelia, Skyline. I will eat the Corleone.
You cannot eat all that.
Oh,
No, sure.
no, of course not. I can't eat all that.
You pull an Ed where you get through like several and then you
You
puke.
will throw up.
Oh, I'll just stop eating it. I like that.
Skyline would be ruined for you.
No, I don't. That stuff doesn't.
You know Ed tried to eat 12 cheese conies and ate like 9 in a puke.
Has he? What's his relationship with Skyline now?
He worked his way back into it.
Okay.
It
I
wasn't
wouldn't have
good. It
any
wasn't good
issues.
for a couple.
I wouldn't
months.
have any issues along those lines.
If you puked it.
No, I would be right back there. That doesn't bother me.
Scroll up, Aaron. Jeffrey wants to know what a 3-way is, or a cheese coney is now. It's like $3.
I think it's like like $3.
$2.93.
Yeah.
It's $3.
Yeah, that mustard and is got it really expensive.
Yeah. $50.
But yeah, that was awesome stuff. I'm sure he just said it like so nonchalantly too.
Well, I guess so. We had a bunch of stuff going on with Kelly, and I didn't get to. I went to the press conference yesterday, but I couldn't go to practice. We were told we were going to be allowed to talk to Dante yesterday. Justin got the jump on me on that, which I hate him for forever, because I've been asking for Dante for like 4 weeks now, and yesterday was the first time he was made available. And Justin was told, ask him about his high school Skyline order.
No, so this is like a
It was a plan.
well-known story.
Yeah, it was a plan. It was like, but remember back in the day we had to ask Big Country about his Chipotle order.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was a plan. So like, yeah, it wasn't natural.
Yeah, it wasn't
Justin was handed
organic.
that,
They just
right.
started like talking about Skyline, and Dante's like, "Hey, by the way, here's what I used to eat."
Justin was told, like, get his like on record Skyline order.
As he offers Justin a string cheese.
He obviously needs a Skyline and a NIL deal, but like, can we get him like a Kroger string cheese deal too?
Yeah, like the string cheese deal is more important than the Skyline deal.
I'd like to know what his order is now.
Right, he's down to 310.
Yeah, like so what is he eating now?
What did he cut out? Did he cut out two string cheese or 2 Cholitos?
In that tweet, I believe it said he misses Skyline.
Oh, like so he doesn't eat it at all?
He doesn't eat it anymore.
I'd rather
that would be terrible.
That would be terrible.
It'd be heartbreaking. I wish I could use Twitter right now so I could
use your phone, dude.
Don't get me started.
But yeah.
So what was your other thing you wanted to get to?
Clearly, definitely not as funny as that. I do want to touch very, very briefly on Nebraska, and not Nebraska singularly, but because obviously Nebraska opens and Luke Fickell's on the next plane to Lincoln.
Sure.
Yeah. But I do think that when we look at stuff like this, obviously it's not going to change, and it's never going to change. The mindset of, well, someone will get him and he's not going to stay there forever, and all the tropes that we're used to. And UC fans are right in saying, like, hey, look, he's had plenty of opportunities to leave and he's chosen not to. Like, why would he go to a place that is in like a massive rebuild and the situation that Nebraska's in? And I agree with that, but I think we need to keep in mind a couple things, especially over the last couple of years, have changed the coaching dynamic considerably. And I'm not saying that to say that Luke is going to take advantage of that. But
$90 million, $100 million, 10 years.
Part what I'm going to get to. The first part is there's 3 key elements to this, but the first part is if you had Brian Kelly going from Notre Dame to LSU, and you had Lincoln Riley going from Oklahoma to USC, I want you to let me know, and I will literally buy you whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
So do not, under any circumstance, come at anybody and say, well, he would never leave UC for Nebraska.
I'm pretty confident in saying that one won't happen.
I am too, but I'm just using those as an example of, like,
I know.
Nowadays, like, your coach can leave. Like,
sure.
it's a different world. When schools can pull that off, it's a different world. The second
Cincinnati is probably 4 or 5 years minimum away from being able to really stomach $10 million a year.
Oh, I think we're more than that. I mean, that's a top 5 salary in the sport.
But
that's right now. It's going.
That's where it's going.
Right. That's my other point is, especially for
$10 million a year right now is crazy.
Yeah, but
3-4 years from now, there's going to be 15 coaches making $10 million a year.
Yeah,
Mel Tucker makes $10 million a year.
3-4 years from now, the Big Ten and the SEC will have even more don't give a fuck money.
Right.
So, like, we can talk about, he's not money driven and blah, blah, blah. Like, Nebraska's going to pay their next coach $8 or $9 million a year.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, that's the floor if they want someone, like, worth a shit. And they got no problem paying it because of all the bad things that have gone on there. Guess what's never changed is their fan support. They have sold out every game since 1962.
Right.
All the advantages that they used to have, weight room, walk-on program, all those things that made them great.
Recruiting Texas.
All those are gone, but they still have cash and they still have fan support. And now they're going to have even more cash because the SEC and the Big Ten are just going to have, like, yeah, we got to spend it somewhere, so let's just give it to our coaches.
So here's the only reason I have zero worry about Nebraska is that Luke walks in and says, honey, we're moving to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Right.
And she says, honey,
no,
you're moving to Lincoln, Nebraska. We have these kids that aren't like.
And the only reason we're using that is because it's a big job and it's the first one open. And,
sure.
And his name was going to come up because honestly, if I'm Trev Alberts,
Look,
guess who I'm
here's-
calling first?
Right, like that's the funny part. Like that's all people have really said on Twitter is if I'm Trev Albert, the first person I'm calling is Luke Fickell. And I will say this: if Trev Albert doesn't call Luke Fickell first,
you should be
I would fire him.
Well, and
I would fire him
it's-
immediately.
it's September. He could start the process of whittling away at the you call his agent tomorrow. Is any interest at all? Nope, none. Okay. Week later, well, we got this going on. It still don't want to have any conversation. Nope, none. Week after, hey man, this is our guy. We know he's great, but eventually maybe you start to turn him. And I'm just using the Nebraska job as the example, but and the third element that is totally different now is NIL. Nebraska, because of their fan support and because of the way that the state is, could have the best NIL program in the country.
Because they can funnel every dollar in the state
right
to Nebraska.
I mean, they have this restaurant there, Runzies or however you pronounce it, that as soon as NIL came out, they gave a deal to every student athlete at Nebraska.
Yeah, $50,000 or it was a lot.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't think I'd ever want to eat at a restaurant called Runzies because I feel like the
would
joke.
You cash their $50,000
Just
check?
saying, the joke is already there.
They sell them in the state, they sell them in the stadium. They're like empanada type hot pocket type things.
I ate at Runzies. Guess what it gave me?
Yeah, would you cash their check, Aaron?
Yeah, of course.
I know what you're paying me.
Right?
But so, I get both sides. I get what our fans' reaction to every time they see his name, and I don't think he's going to go to Nebraska either. But there are big elements that are different now, and especially different in the next couple of years.
We've spent months on this podcast talking about the game changing in front of our face.
Yeah. So yes, going to the Big 12 will help, but guess what? If somebody in the Big 10 and the SEC wants to give him $10 million, going to the Big 10 has no bearing on that type of thing right now.
Do you think Luke Fickell believes he could win the Big 10 West every year at Nebraska?
But also divisions are going to go away.
Sure.
So, but yes,
they're divisions are going to go away.
The Big 10 West is terrible. Of course, he thinks he can win it.
Dave, divisions are going to go away, but Nebraska is not playing Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State
and
regularly.
USC every year. Right.
USC probably because they're...
Well, you're going to get one of those teams on your schedule a little more often, but you're still going to get a whole lot of Purdue, Minnesota, Northwestern, all those teams too.
You think Luke Fickell doesn't believe he could win the Big 10 West in Nebraska?
He thinks he could win any division in the Big 10. But that's how these guys
play in the Big 10 title game regularly from there?
Yeah.
The problem is it's not in Chicago. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Right. But, hey, I'd move to Lincoln, Nebraska for $10 million.
A year.
Yeah.
Not $10 million. 90, 100.
And the next coach in Nebraska is probably going to be like, yeah, and all that is guaranteed, my friends.
Right.
Like no buyout. It's all my buyout.
Right. You're right.
So, I mean, it's just the reality of where things are going for those two leagues specifically. And when you brought home your prodigal son and it flamed out, you think a couple $1 million is going to get in the way of Nebraska making their next hire?
No.
So, I'm not saying watch it or anything like that, but it's going to be a different world. The whole $10 million coach is not going to be the norm, but it's certainly not going to be the exception.
Right. No,
Mel Tucker's already getting 9.5, and he's been the coach at Michigan State for one freaking year.
And he's a good coach.
I mean, maybe he's been there 1 year.
He's a good coach.
Yeah.
Does that good is average, right?
Yeah.
In the way things are done now, being a good coach means you're average.
I mean, Crib Keeper brings up Neil Brown at West Virginia. Yeah, he makes $5 million a year. Go check out his buyout. He ain't going anywhere.
right?
I mean, unless it gets so bad and they go 2-10 and there's a full-on revolt and Jim Justice steps up to pay that buyout,
Right.
then yeah, maybe. But like that dude's buyout is
Jim Justice the gas station guy?
Jim Justice is the governor of
Oh.
the state who made a metric ton of money in mining.
Oh.
He owns the Greenbrier Resort and Hotel.
Oh yeah, that's a place.
Yeah.
There's a dude who is the son of the guy that like whatever like gas station is big in throughout West Virginia.
In Pennsylvania, the Sheets?
I don't know if it's the Sheets guy or not, but
Wawa?
it might be Wawa.
No, Wawa is like Philly.
Oh.
Either way, the guy that started it is a huge West Virginia fan, and his son goes to AAU events. Like they go on the plane with Hugs.
Yeah.
And his son, like if you've ever seen these pictures of Hugs at like AAU events with a guy that looks like he used to be the Mountaineer, that's the family that owns the jet that Hugs travels to for AAU events. And he just takes the kid with him who's like 35, like he's 40. He's not a kid, but like
me.
yeah, it'd be like taking you, and everybody just gets pictures of Hugs and this guy because he looks like he just came straight out of like a holler in West Virginia. And like they fly on the private jet together and go to AAU events around the country.
But yeah, so I'm not trying to like scare anybody, but like
is that it? Super American US? Like I know it's random. It's not one of the like it's a smaller deal that's like in all these small towns in West Virginia.
Just a West Virginia based thing.
Yeah. And they've made, hundreds of millions of dollars, and Hugs uses their jet for AAU travel.
Yeah. I mean, I think my larger point is just like
no, I know. I'm just
anything is possible now. Like
anything is possible.
Like we have no idea where some desperate AD is going to go when he's got, $120
million to spend.
$80 million a year.
Yeah.
Just from a TV deal. Like, how desperate are you? Like, it's the old back the Brinks truck up. Like, I will back this amount of money up till some coach says yes.
I think you're right, Crypt Keeper. The Super American US thing. I think that's what it is. And it's like the son of the founder that he goes and parties with Hugs April and then June and July, like on the plane, and they go to AAU events. And can you imagine? Like he gets better access than most. Like he gets the sideline seating right next to Hugs. Like
he gets better access than anyone.
Yeah,
he's got better.
He doesn't do anything. He just goes and hangs out.
He has better access to Hugs than June.
Just say it. All right, let's get out of here. Heck of a show tonight. Thank you, Dave.
Wait,
I was wondering at like 45 minutes, like, are we gonna do our normal?
You got any basketball? Everybody's gonna want to know about Wes's and Arrington Page, Bearcats top 4.
If you're surprised that UC's and Arrington Page is top 4, I join BearcatJournal.com.
I don't know if anybody is surprised, but like how do you have a thought on how you're handicapping
UC or USC?
You think that's it?
Yeah, that all indication are like Indiana is falling behind.
Yeah,
and I've never really got the feeling that Miami was a major threat.
How much of a, if it is UC USC, a lot of people talk package deals when it comes down to it. Like, it's only a package deal if you get Isaiah Collier. But like,
right?
How much is Page's decision tied to like, say Collier goes to USC? Does UC have a shot to still get him, or is he basically going to USC too?
So here's the thing: Page is announcing soon.
Oh, okay.
Like, the idea or the thought is like by the end of the month, Page is going to make his college decision.
So like the end of September in the next couple weeks.
The end of September in the next couple weeks. If that's reality,
then it's not really a package deal.
Isaiah Collier is not going where Arlington Page goes.
Or they've already decided in one's just.
I don't think that's real either, because I don't think Collier is really that far along, especially with what happened.
Yeah.
For those that are new and don't know, Isaiah Collier was on a canoeing, kayaking trip with his friends and closest friends and family. His best friend died. He has been not the same. He has not done much with the recruiting process until recently, when the recruiting period has opened up. He has not been in kind of decision mode. Now, it affected Paige as well, because Paige goes to the same high school. They play on the same team. The young man that died was the son of their head coach. But general, like, in the basketball community, feeling is Paige is entering decision mode. So within the next 2-3 weeks or so, Paige is going to decide. If Paige decides first, he's making his own decision. And then Collier will decide where he's going, and we'll see if, where Paige goes has any impact on that. I'm not saying it won't. I'm saying Isaiah Collier is not like, Arlington Page commits to UC. That does not mean automatically that Isaiah Collier is going to UC.
Right.
And same for USC. I think it's going to come down to USC and UC for both. Michigan has more of a chance with Collier than Indiana does with Page, if we're dealing with like who the third place team is right now for both of them.
Yeah. How does Jizzle James fit into all this?
That's a great question, because I get the sense like they'd like to get Jizzle James done. Like, from the people I've talked to and the conversations I've had, the feeling is Jizzle James is a Bearcat. Tough, physical, get after you, multi-year, lead your program type of guard. If Isaiah Collier is going to wait until November, and Jizzle James, let's say, wants to move up his timeline to late September, early October, or shortly at, he's taking his visit to Cincinnati here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, like what if he takes his visit and just loves it and wants to, basically wants to commit? They're not going to take his commitment because
I think they are.
I think I do too. I do too. I mean, you get him on campus, he loves it, he wants to commit. You're in his top 3, you already know. Like, you're not going to tell him no. I certainly wouldn't.
Especially if they feel like feel like he's a match, right? If they feel like he's a match for who they are, what their culture is, and what they want to do.
Plus, if you tell him no, you're out.
Right.
Regardless of what happens with Isaiah Collier, you're out. Like,
we've already seen that once.
He wants to commit, and you don't take his commitment after his visit. Like, he's not going to all of a sudden wait till Isaiah Collier decides and then see that he didn't come to UC and then go, okay, now will you take my commitment?
There will already be a commitment made by that point. He'll be at Georgia. Like, Cincinnati's fight. If you're going to land Jizzle James, you're going tooth and nail with Georgia. I've talked about this on the board a bunch. Georgia, Mike White and his staff recruited the shit out of Jizzle James while they were at Florida.
Right.
And now they're at Georgia and they're doing the same. So I don't know how you could not.
So then does that I assume that means that if they did, then that would take them out of Collier.
I initially thought that.
I'm sure they would try their asses off, but like.
Well, I think in that scenario, what you sell is 2-point guard system. You're going to play it, both of you.
Just playing both at the same time.
Yeah, like we're going to put the ball in both of your hands,
which works a little bit better as they've built up the rest of the roster.
Right.
And now you're 6'7" on the wing instead of 6'4",
Right.
And so the things that we've talked about in the past
Well,
about
and Collier's 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
Like he's not a small guard.
No.
Jizzle's 6'1", 6'2". But if you're 6'1", 6'4", 6'7", 6'9", 7 foot,
right.
that's not a small.
No,
And your bench is 6'7", 6'7", 6'4", 6'5". Like, you know.
Yes.
I said it a couple weeks ago. There's a lot of high stakes poker the staff is playing right now. We'll see.
But I don't think there's a fan worth their shit that doesn't want that game to be played.
Right. And this is these are my opinions.
Right. And everybody should understand that, like, yeah, you can bust out.
Yeah.
But I'd rather play this game than just be like, yeah, we're gonna get this kid that's ranked 179th and he's 6 foot, not super athletic, and maybe he'll develop by his third year. Like, I don't want that shit anymore.
This isn't me like reporting anything. This is me answering your questions and giving my opinion on how this is all, like, how the pieces are coming together. I got a notification today. Bearcat Air might have been in Orlando.
Might have been.
Notification tonight, Bearcat Air might be in Cobb County, Georgia. And then headed to Branson, Missouri to end the night tonight.
Well, they going to Big Cedar Lodge? Could play a little. Wes told me he was done playing golf. He's going to go to Big Cedar Lodge.
That's
to tee it up at Paynes Valley.
Linkier Academy.
I know
where Tyler McKinley is. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler McKinley is on the agenda for tomorrow. But like the staff is. I talked to somebody over the weekend, and they were like, you know what? These guys are on solid ground now. Like when they were here a year ago, they thought they were going to be in the American forever.
Right.
Right? Like at this, they just found out a year ago, last week? That they were going to the Big 12. Prior to that, like...
Yeah, for the first 6 months of they were on staff, or whatever that is, they were recruiting to the American.
They're swinging for the fences. Sometimes they'll get the top recruits, sometimes they won't. It's a super exciting time because this is a coach that grew up in North Carolina's system, right? Like, do you think Wes Miller is just going to be like, if we get 1 4-star class, we're going to be happy? Like,
if we get
1 4-star class, that's how we're going to.
Right. I mean, like.
Right. Now it's like, if we don't get 2 top 50 kids a class, we're going to get our ass kicked every week in the Big 12.
For sure.
It's fun. It's exciting. It's been wild to like try to piece things together as they're playing out. Like I've said on the board, there's been a lot of misinformation. There's been a lot of people reporting things that aren't exactly true. But we're in a critical period because right now, and this is just the honest truth, we're in a race right now from now until the second Wednesday in November. 2 months. All of these kids, almost guaranteed, all of these kids are going to commit by the early signing period. That's in roughly 60 days. Roughly 2 months from today. So, how does it play out? I have no idea. Maybe it's going to be the South Park meme with, what's his name's dad with stuff all over the wall. Or maybe everybody's going to be pissed. I have no fucking idea which way it's going to go. But I know
that's Stan's dad.
Stan's dad. Yeah.
Mr. Mark.
Don't put that up. I don't want that up on the screen.
Listen, come on now. That's not my MO.
Executive. He's not the best executive producer for nothing.
You are the best executive producer in the city. I don't know which way it's going to go. I really don't have a feel. Like, if you put a gun to my head and said, are Page and Collier picking UC or USC, I'd probably just take the bullet. I don't know. But I do know this. The staff is putting them in a position unlike anything we've seen in a long fucking time, Dave.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
It's got to close the deal now.
Coffees for closers. That's the 10 minutes of this show everybody will be talking about.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Skyline discussion will.
The Skyline discussion will also be right up there.
I'm kidding.
All right. Let's get out of here. He's Dave Simone. I'm Chad Brendel. Thanks to the best executive producer in the city, Aaron Smith. We'll see you next week. It's the BCJ podcast. Brought to you by the Holy Grail. Get your ass to the Holy Grail on Saturday at some point. Right here on BearcatJournal.com.